and everything's off for tea.
Well, a very good morning, Friday, the 19th of March, 10 o'clock, and welcome to a very sunny Bognor Regis, and welcome to the second A Cup of Tea with Mr. G, coming live from the Bohemian Cottage in the Sky, or otherwise known as my flat. And I'm very, very pleased to be talking to a gentleman who is, I'm going to introduce right now, and that's John Price. Are you there, John?
Good morning, Chris. Nice to see you.
How are you? No, but we've never met. We've never met, have we, John?
No, we've spoken over the phone, but this is the first time we've actually been able to talk face to face.
It's absolutely lovely. And the reason I got to meet John is when my Lindy passed away, I wanted to do something to try and raise money for the doctors and nurses. And this is how I got to speak to you. And I wanted that money to go specifically to the hospital. How can you actually arrange that? Because your work, I'm a big admirer of your work, but how can you actually ring fence money to go to a particular department in the hospital?
I think the easiest way to explain it, Chris, is how most charities tend to work. They tend to raise money and put it into a central fund, and then everybody takes a little piece out of that fund. We're slightly different as a charity. One of our unique ways we do things is we have individual pots of and funds for each area of care. So it may be a ward that somebody's had some care in, or it may be an outpatient unit, somewhere like a cancer unit or something like that. And we manage over 170 different funds within the hospital. Wow. Where we're very conscious that our donors are very attached to certain areas of care. So we can make sure that the money that they raise can go back to say thank you to the area of care, that they've really, really had that wonderful sort of care from the nurses and the doctors, to make sure that they're going back into the area that they want to say thank you for.
That's fantastic. How did you get involved in your work? And if I could just explain something to the people who are tuning in, your charity, can you just explain exactly which area your charity covers?
Okay, yeah, of course, Chris. So we're Love Your Hospital. We're the dedicated charity for Western Sussex Foundation Trust. Okay, and that is a trust that looks after 3 hospitals. Okay, we have St Richard's in Chichester, we have Worthing Hospital, and we have a satellite hospital at Shoreham-on-Sea called Southlands. So they're the only 3 hospitals that we raise funds for. And every penny that we raise goes directly back into patient care and staff welfare at those 3 hospitals.
Fantastic. And how did you become involved?
It's a bit of a long story, really. I've worked for the hospital now for nearly 8 years, coming up to 8 years. And to start with, I joined the trust as the front of house manager for the restaurant. I've always dealt with people, been front of house with people. And I worked there for 2.5 years front of house. And then I moved on to what we call the Patient Advice and Liaison Service, the PALS service, which deals with people that may have concerns about care that they've had within the hospital, and trying to help those people make sure they've got resolutions and find some answers to any care that they may question or have had concerns about. So that was a very challenging job as well. And within that time, I've done numerous fundraisers for the hospital. And we've done various things like climbing Ben Nevis and raising, I think as a group, we raised nearly £20,000 climbing Ben Nevis to give back to the hospital. And the manager at the time said to me, have I ever thought of working in the charitable sort of area in the spectrum of charity? And it's something I hadn't. Okay, I hadn't thought about it at all. But when I sat back and looked at it, I thought, do you know what? This is something that I think I'd really enjoy. So when the job became available, I applied, and I had no charity experience. I had no background within the charity sector. But I applied, I did my research, and I was lucky enough to be offered the job. And Chris, I think I'm the luckiest man in the hospital, to be honest with you, because I think it's a job that enables me every day to work with people and help people and give something back to the hospital and the patients that are there.
How many people work in your team, John?
We've got a very small team, Chris. There's only 4 of us. So there's myself, who is the only fundraiser. So I'm the only person within the 3 hospitals that fundraises. I have my colleague Denise, who is our marketing lady. I think you've spoken to Denise previously.
Yeah, she's very helpful.
Yeah, and then we have a young lady called Jazz, who is our finance lady, so deals a lot with the inquiries into the office and any of the finance that comes into the office. And then we have my interim head of charity, which is David. He joined us he was only meant to be with us for 6 months. He's now been with us 18 months because I think he loves the job and doesn't really want to go. So it's really nice. So yeah, we're a really small team, but a really proactive and energetic team that gets things done.
What's the biggest challenge at the moment? Because you hear in the news, obviously charities are suffering due to the COVID and places not being able to open. What would you say is your biggest challenge as a charity fundraiser?
I think within our charity, Chris, we're really lucky. We have a really sort of good link in with our local community, and our local community tend to put on a lot of events for us. So we're event based, so we tend to be lots and lots of people will be putting on events at weekends through the summer, around Christmas time. Okay, and then people will attend these events and generate funds that way. Obviously, for the last 18 months, that hasn't happened. We haven't put any events on since February, not this February before was our last event. So we've now pretty much had, as I say, nearly 13, 14 months with no events. So we're lucky that our profile is quite high within the charity sector. So the NHS has been very much to the fore. But coming out of lockdown, hopefully that releases a little bit of pressure on us when we can start to go back and start planning a few events to raise some more funds.
Talking about events, I've got this picture here. So that was obviously when we could do events. Talk to me through this picture. What was happening?
Okay, so that picture, that was my first event that I ever organised for the charity when I started working for them, and they'd never done a skydive before. And charities tend to do skydives as quite a normal activity, and I'm not very good with heights, Chris. I promise you. You give me two.
No, and you're going skydiving.
Okay, up a ladder, and that's not me. Okay, and I was going around our staff members and our supporters trying to say to people, please come and do a skydive for us, raise some funds for us. And the first question everybody would ask me was, John, are you doing it? And of course I'd be going, no, I'm not doing it. I'm scared of heights. Why would I do that? And I found very quickly that if I was saying no, everybody else would say no. Whereas if I said, yes, I'll do it, then people tended to say, oh, okay, well, maybe I'll do it. So yeah, very quickly I got signed up to do the skydive, which I thought I'd never do, and ended up coming out of an aeroplane at 15,000 feet, which is the highest tandem skydive you can do in the country, and raised over £1,000 back to the charity. But I was one of a group of 7 or 8 people, and all raising similar amounts of money. So
what was that feeling before you left the plane? What was going through your mind?
Honestly, Chris, I was petrified. Okay, I'll be totally honest with you. But actually, once you're out and you're coming down at terminal velocity, and you pull the parachute and you have that complete silence and that serenity that you have when the parachute's open and you're floating to ground, and then the euphoria when you come down and the adrenaline rush that you have is incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And we're really lucky that we've been able to reorganize another one. We were due to do one last year, which got postponed because of COVID. And we've actually got one on the 8th of August this year. And currently, I think I've got nearly 20 people signed up for it. So
how can people find details of that, John?
Okay, so I mean, if they contact the hospital charity, okay, so you could just dial into the hospital and ask to speak to the charity team. Okay, you can contact them there. Okay, or you can contact them directly on my email, Chris. I'll say my email now if that's okay.
Yeah,
okay,
please do.
So it's john.price and then the number 4 at nhs.net. Okay, I'll repeat that. So it's john.price, the number 4 at nhs.net. If anybody's interested, please drop me an email, okay, with your number, and I'll call you straight back and we can talk about it. And then obviously you can.
John, the word on the street is hopefully things are going to start to improve. And excuse me, for your fundraising events, that's going to be great news. So I'm obviously come from the entertainment world and being an impressionist, and a lot of friends of mine they are big supporters of charity. So where do you see things going in the short future as to trying to get back to live events, and what sort of events have you done in the past that have been popular?
Well, we've done various events throughout the year, really, and I always say to people that whatever you want to do, we can almost help you organise, whether it be a coffee morning, okay, or to climb Mount Everest, and everything in between. So we never really say no to anything, Chris. There's always something that we can look at about organising a style of event. But I think in the short term, I think it's more about going back to events where people can get together. I think that's the big thing. I think everybody has been locked away in lockdown. And I suppose in a very personal way, I've been lucky. I've gone to work every day. There's lots of people that haven't had that opportunity to do that. And I think the actual face-to-face events where we're back talking to people and communicating and being face-to-face, I think that's the big thing. And whether that be in a charity ball or a charity concert or a singing concert at Christmas, all these type of events were held previously for us. And obviously people haven't been able to do that. So it'll be really nice to get back to supporting all our local community and the community events, because that's very much a part of my job.
Well, there's one thing which I can I've spoken to you before about supporting any events in regards to live entertainment, but I also do comedy lectures. So a comedy lecture with a coffee morning, if you think that's something that can be a soft rollout and money come in from that to the charity, then we must speak on that, because I think people just need to have a bit of a laugh, a bit of something just to change the mood. It's been very, very hard this particular lockdown, and if that's something which I can help with, then let's talk about that. You know me, I'm always trying to think of ways to raise money for the charity, and thank you for buying ticket. I know you're a big Manchester United fan. Who's your favourite player?
Oh, now there's a question. There's a really difficult question, because I've been lucky enough, Chris. I've followed Manchester United since I was a child, and I've been lucky enough to have friends and contacts within football. My background's within football, so I've been lucky enough to have contacts to get tickets to go and watch games, and I've seen some incredible players, and you're talking the real top end, talking from Brian Robson, who was my hero as I was growing up, right the way through to David Beckham, Cristiano Ronaldo, Eric Cantona. These type of players are absolute legends in my eyes. So I'm
glad you said David Beckham there, John, because I'll be very upset if you didn't say David. I'd have to say Victoria. What is it, David?
And as I say, I mean, I've been lucky that I tend to go most seasons in a normal season up to Old Trafford 3 or 4 times. I've got a little bit of a family background in Manchester, so I've still got nephews and that live up there. So I would go and stay with them and go to the games from there. So that's my hero.
Thank you for buying ticket, because just to remind people, they must get sick of me, but you just have to keep waving the flag. John is one of many people who bought a ticket, £10 as ticket, and that was to go to a fabulous prize, and that's 2 VIP. It's a tour of the Old Trafford Stadium, including lunch. And on this, Rose, who is, I don't know if you saw my Cup of Tea, Mr. G, with Rose Cook Monk, she obviously formed the Duncan Edwards Foundation, and the work that she does in Dudley is fantastic. She has a museum. If you've never seen it, and being a Manchester United fan, what's going to happen is the ticket, we're splitting that between the hospital charity and also her foundation, because I want to be able to try and support her work. But on the 3rd of April, we're going to have a COVID-free draw at the museum, and I've asked Rose to give a virtual tour of the Duncan Edwards Foundation. So if you want to have a look at that, but if you're ever up in Dudley, you'll be welcome with open arms. And it's there again, another Manchester United football legend. And I'll get very emotional when I actually go to the museum, because they've put so much work into it. I think it's a fabulous prize. A lot of people say, well, what happens if I don't like football? Hello. Really? There are people who don't like football. Yeah, there are people. You can give it as a prize to somebody, and of course, because of COVID, the extension of the expiry has been. We've just said, okay, when COVID is easier and people can actually go out and do these things, you can use that at any time. So thank you, and thank you to the other people who are supporting that. Hopefully that's going to raise some money, and then we can get some more money into the pot. At the moment, I think the charity fund, which and it's not me, it's the very, very kind people who supported the doctors and nurses in the ward, in the Pagham ward where Corky was, is at £1,040, which I set £50 as my starting thing. £50.
That's incredible, Chris. That's incredible.
Yeah, well, you know, she died on the 24th of January, and I just couldn't believe the kindness and generosity of people. And I think it's one of these things, though, is that when time goes on, sometimes things drop off, and I'm just really wanting to keep. I want to keep the memory of my wife alive, but I also want to celebrate her life and not, remember her death. And I think doing the charity work and raising money for the hospital, the doctors and nurses, they just blew me away how much care that they give to patients. And it's 24/7, and I don't know how they do it. And,
Chris, can I jump in there? I mean, I just want to echo exactly what you said there. I mean, I'm lucky enough to work at the trust, and you see it day in, day out, as you say, 365 days a year, and you hear stories that are absolutely phenomenal. And I think what happens is, because of the care and the doctors and nurses being so invested in their roles, I think that transfers out into the local community. And I'm local, Chris. I was born and raised in Chichester. Okay, so my loved ones and all my family are all local as well. So that's my local hospital. St Richard's is my local hospital. And I think what happens then is, because people are affiliated with that hospital and they know that the care that's given there, I think then they buy into actually saying thank you. Okay, and we should never forget that, there for the grace of God go all of us. We are all dependent on that hospital, and let's make it the best we can make it. So that's my philosophy about what I do. So.
Can I show a little video clip of the work that you do? Would that be all right?
I've got a little clip here,
and here we go. Well, I think it's fantastic. And the other thing I want to ask you, John, is that we talk about donations to the charity, but what happens if people want to get involved becoming a volunteer? What process would they need to take on that?
Yeah, okay. So we actually have a volunteers manager within the hospital, and we're really lucky that as a hospital we have lots of volunteers, and we're very reliant on volunteers when we hold our events. But not just there, that there's lots of ways to volunteer in the hospital as well. So you can volunteer by going and sitting with a patient with dementia and playing games with them, board games, or obviously this is COVID allowing. You could go and have a cup of tea and just catch up with somebody with dementia. You can go and help on the wards with just some admin support or that type of thing. Okay, there's lots and lots of ways to come into the hospital and help, outside of COVID regulations. The lady that anybody would need to contact at the hospital is a lady called Claire Goldsmith. She's the volunteers manager. And there is a small induction program that you would have to go through. We have to obviously run checks and personal background checks and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, we are reliant and we have a wonderful, wonderful team of volunteers that support us already. But I know we're always looking for volunteers. There's always roles that can be filled within the hospital, which are essential to the running of the place as well.
Yeah. Well, I really wish you, your team, the hospital charity, a continued success. I know the work that you do is absolutely fantastic. Hopefully, I'm going to have the chance to get involved with you, as I say, the couple of ideas. I'm going to take you off air now. I'm going to raise my cup. What are you drinking today, John?
Chris, I just want to quickly, one thing before we go. Okay, when COVID allows, okay, I personally want to invite you in to come and meet the charity team. Come and see some of the work that we do. Okay, so I'd love to have you in for a proper cup of tea. I'm drinking tea. Okay, so a proper cup of tea. We'll have one face to face. Okay, and I'd love you to come in and meet the guys.
I'll look forward to that. I look forward to that. I'm going to, God bless you. I'm going to take you off air now. And then I'm going to just tell people before I come off air, we've got another idea that came up. And my Corky, she collected vintage handbags and purses, and I gave those out to a lot of her friends at the funeral and friends who couldn't be at the funeral. So I've sent all those off. But then I thought, well, all her collection of clothes, her classic collection of clothes. So we're going to, in the process of putting these as a charity auction, and half the money is going to go to the charity, half the money is going to go to the Duncan Edwards.
Wow.
So that is, I'm going to just quickly mention that we're at the moment cataloguing, and there again on the 3rd of April, I'll be going to the museum, having a COVID free cup of tea with Mr. G. I'll announce the winning bids, and then we just ask for a small donation for postage. So I'll be like David Dickinson.
So my first love is a Ralph Lauren thing. I reckon if it went to auction.
So I'll be very annoying doing David Dickinson with that. But hey, anything to get some money for charity, eh? John, Chris, thank you ever so much.
My pleasure, Chris. Lovely to talk to you.
Lovely to talk to you, and have a very good comic relief today. So I don't know, everybody's going to be doing something hopefully today and giving some money out to charity, which is what it's all about. So, John, I look forward to meet you in the flesh over a cup of tea, and thanks ever so much for your time today.
No problem at all, Chris. Take care now.
Cheerio. Bye-bye. Bye. So that was John. What a lovely, lovely chap. And as I just mentioned before, we are going to start it's going to be called Corky's Collection. Now, my Corky, she loved good things. If she couldn't afford good things, then she wouldn't. She would wait until she could actually afford to buy stuff. But over the years, like with her handbags, her vintage handbags and her vintage purses, her clothes, her classic collection of clothes, myself and Rose, because we're going to split the money between the two charities, the hospital charity and the Duncan Edwards Foundation, we are going to start an auction. And this is going to take place very, very shortly. I'm going to be putting items of clothing up, and you'll have until 12 o'clock lunchtime on the 1st of April to place your bid. And to place your bid, you simply put a comment in the comments box with your bid, and then on the 2nd of April, we'll contact people who got the winning bid, obviously get the payment through. And on the 3rd of April, live from the Duncan Edwards Museum in Dudley, I shall be announcing all the winning bids. We shall be having a virtual tour from Rose of the Duncan Edwards Museum. And also I'll be announcing the winner of the wonderful prize, the VIP, 2 VIP tickets to have a tour of Old Trafford, including lunch. So please, it's £10 a ticket. Please just put a comment in the box when you've actually bought a ticket. We can make sure that you're in the draw. As you can see, these are just a couple of things which we are getting ready for Corky's Collection. So thank you so much for joining me. and joining my guest John today. If you would like to come on and have a virtual cup of tea with Mr. G, then that's my headphone just gone. Please private message me. I've got lots and lots of guests who have already done so, and I'm looking forward to talk to them on Monday. I've got a young 23-year-old entrepreneur which I met on a cruise ship called Nathan Brett, and he's going to be talking to me about how he took the giant leap into being an entrepreneur, and obviously how things have affected him due to the COVID. So Comic Relief today. I hope you have a great day from me, Christopher G. As always, I'm going to sign off with this, and cheers. Okay, fellas, take it away.
And everything's off for tea.